The morning sun barely crested the ridge when the diesel growl of three black SUVs rolled up the graveled drive to my great-grandfather's 1946 log cabin, kicking up dust that settled like a bad omen on the wildflowers lining the path. I was out on the porch, 62 years old, and nursing a chipped army mug filled with black coffee, the same one Grandpa Walt had clutched after Guadalcanal, when shrapnel still burned in his hip and the Pacific's ghosts haunted his sleep. 6 men in tactical vests piled out, their clipboards catching the light like polished badges of false authority. The lead one, a barrel-chested type with a mustache that screamed mall cop midlife crisis, slapped a yellow notice against my chest. 24 hours to vacate. This structure violates community standards under Section 38-33.3-123 of the Colorado Common Interest Ownership Act, CCHOA for short. Your cabin's an eyesore, a safety hazard, and it's coming down. I sipped slow, letting the steam curl between us like a truce flag nobody wanted. 4 generations of Harlan men had defended this country, Walt in the islands, my granddad Earl after Korea's frozen hell, my dad Jack patching up grunts in Vietnam's jungles, and me, a combat medic in the Gulf, stitching kids back together while scuds lit the sky. This 2-acre plot, bought for $300 in '46 with timber Walt felled himself, wasn't just land. It was legacy, grandfathered in before zoning laws or HOAs dreamed of such nonsense. This is Harlan property, I said, voice steady as the Rockies. Deeds from Truman's day? You boys got no say here. The leader smirked, tapping his clipboard like it was Excalibur. HOA rules say otherwise, sir. Pinnacle Ridge Estates owns the ridge now. They idled their engines, choking the pine-scented air with exhaust, circling me like I was some squatter instead of the man who'd earned that deed through blood and paperwork. As they peeled out, I caught a glimpse of her Escalade parked down the road. Marlene Kensington, 52, HOA president of the subdivision that gobbled up Miller's Meadow in 2018. Her vanity plate screamed home, and her measuring tape swung like a gavel. She'd shown up my first week here, pounding the door at 7 a.m., voice dripping fake Southern charm. Your shack destroys values, she declared, snapping iPhone pics of the weathered siding. Standards are standards, veteran. I'd handed her the original deed then, yellowed paper smelling of attic dust and history. Her eyes narrowed, that predatory glint flashing. My husband runs Kensington Construction. That view lot's worth $2 million, prime for our crown jewel estate. It wasn't about aesthetics. It was greed, plain as the fake tan on her cheeks. Colorado law's clear on grandfather clauses, under CCIOA Section 38-33.3-123, 2. No enforcement action on building restrictions unless started within 1 year of knowing the violation. My cabin, built 79 years before her McMansions. Untouchable. But Marlene didn't care for statutes. She cared for square footage and dollar signs. I'd come here 3 months prior, burnout from 30 years in corporate logistics, $200,000 a year, but panic attacks in boardrooms and a divorce that left me with half a pension and a hollow ache. Sarah took the house in Denver, ran off with her spin cycle guru to Napa. Waltzville was my lifeline. The cabin, the land, a chance to launch Harlan Ridge Outfitters, guiding folks through these trails with the same grit Dad taught me swinging hammers on these beams. Every tax paid, every permit filed. I'd spread the business plan on Walt's handmade oak table, right next to his discharge papers and the 95 county inspection certificate praising the cabin as exemplary mountain engineering. But Marlene saw dollar signs where I saw sanctuary. 2 days after the SUV circus, certified mail hit like artillery. Immediate compliance notice, $8,000 survey by Kensington Architectural Services, her husband's outfit, naturally, or face demolition proceedings. The envelope reeked of toner and tyranny. I fired up the old Ford, diesel rumbling like my gut, and twisted down the 20-mile county road to the courthouse in Evergreen, classic Eagles on the tape deck to steady my nerves. The parking lot crunched under my boots, a mix of asphalt and regret. Inside, fluorescents buzzed like dive bombers over the records desk, where Betty Lou Ramirez, mid-40s, calloused hands from weekend ranch work, pulled folders with the wariness of someone who'd seen too many bullies in Brooks Brothers. You ain't the first, Harlan, she whispered, eyes darting to the hall. Betty slid a stack across the scarred oak counter, pages whispering like conspirators. 47 complaints in 6 months, all Marlene's fingerprints, veterans on fixed incomes, a widow with a '72 Chevy in her drive, a Latina single mom running a day home from her garage. Targets? Anyone blocking her husband's bulldozers. She's coordinating with Inspector Dale Bradley. Email trails a doozy. Problem properties acceleration. I scanned the chain, subject lines like compliance timeline, urgent, and green space reallocation. One attachment showed the Ridge's plat map, my cabin circled in red, slated for luxury integration. My blood boiled hotter than the coffee I'd left cooling on the dash. Dad's voice echoed from his own '80s scrap with a crooked builder. Son, grandfathering's your shield. Pre-existing structures can't be retro-zapped by new rules. CCIOA's got your back, but document like the devil's auditing. Back then, I'd rolled my eyes at his rants on property rights. Now, gospel. Betty photocopied until the machine wheezed, then slipped me a gem, the 1995 cert, signed by the old engineer, noting structural integrity exemplary, model for vet returns post-service. Marlene's timeline. Blown. But she wasn't done. Dawn 3 days later brought silence. No fridge hum, no heater whisper. October in the Rockies bites hard. Pipes froze solid. 3 grand in burst copper and plumber's sweat. Boot prints trailed from the severed power line straight to the HOA clubhouse, cut clean with bolt cutters. I cranked the generator, fumes mixing with frost-kissed pine, and dialed Rocky Mountain Electric. The rep perked up at my address. Oh, that spot. Safety complaint yesterday. Unauthorized hookup, fire risk. From Marlene, of course. Dad's wisdom again. Utilities need 72 hours written notice, unless flames are licking the eaves. I filed with the Public Utilities Commission, generator chugging like defiance. Then the road war. Dawn crew rumbled in, backhoes whining, boulders thudding like cannonballs across the 1946 easement, the rutted path walled, graded by mule. Legal right-of-way, predating her subdivision by decades. I hiked down, docks in hand, confronting the foreman, a grizzled 50-something in a hard hat, smelling of chew and reluctance. Can't block this, I said, thrusting the easement plat. He shrugged. Ma'am says HOA turf now. Liability. Each 1,000-pound rock vibrated up my legs like Judgment Day. That afternoon, photographing the blockade, my neighbor Hank Kowalski shuffled over, 68, Korean vet with a limp from Chosen Reservoir, thermos steaming bourbon coffee like old wounds. Marlene's playbook, Hank growled, gravel voice honed by MASH units and Marlboros. Hit the Hendersons last year, old folks, him with Alzheimer's. Falsified setback violations till they sold dirt cheap to her hubby. Casual cruelty landed like shrapnel. Targeting the frail for profit? Crossed every code, human and legal. My nephew Clay's a civil rights shark in Denver, handles housing discrimination like it's venison. Hank unscrewed his cap, steam rising like battlefield fog. Before I could nod, my burner buzzed. Unknown number. Saw the power glitch. Shame about accidents. Reconsider our offer. $50K to vanish. I showed Hank. He grinned wolfish. Bingo. Written threat. FHA violation. Disparate impact on vets. Clay's been itching for paper trail. Clay Morrison roared up 3 hours later in a 98 Civic scarred by law school coffee stains. 38, stubble-jawed, eyes sharp as indictment clauses. He unpacked his briefcase on Walt's table, papers fanning like a poker hand. Colorado's WLAD. Washington law against discrimination? Nah. Our state's got teeth in the Colorado Fair Housing Act. Ties to federal FHA. Marlene's pattern? Systematic harassment of protected classes. Vets under military status add-ons. Elderly via age. Minorities if they fit. Add false reports? That's 18-8-111. Class 2 misdemeanor minimum. Up to 120 days if it wastes resources. He tapped a folder. And that easement block? Easement rights trump subdivision plats under CRS 38-33.3-209.5. No retroactive liens without cure notice. We weren't playing checkers anymore. Clay drafted the restraining order that night, citing CCIA's 1-year enforcement window. Marlene knew of the cabin since her 18 groundbreaking, 7 years stale. But she escalated to psychological siege. Next morning, Eagle Security Solutions, Dwayne and his discount commandos, rolled up at 6 a.m. For wellness checks, vests bulging over beer guts. HOA protocol, Dwayne barked, clipboard quivering. No badges, just attitude. I cited them CRS 18-8-104, impersonating officers, felony if they flashed fake tin. They backed off, but nightfall brought the real torment. LED beams slashing windows at 2 a.m., engines revving floorboards, boots crunching gravel like circling hyenas. I rigged military surplus cams, 6 infrared units, motion triggered, from my Gulf kit. Footage? Goldmine of stupidity. Dwayne planting debris bags by the Jenny, then finding them at dawn for a violation write-up. Another clip, him staging a baggie of white powder near the tree line, glancing like a kid with contraband. Evidence for a raid. Clay laughed over playback. Mail fraud predicate, RICO territory if patterned. 18 USC 1961. 2 acts in 10 years, enterprise affecting commerce. Her HOA's the racket. Fines to her accounts, threats to flip land. RICO? The Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, born to gut mob families, but flexible enough for clipboard cartels. Pattern of fraud, extortion, wire schemes via emails. Marlene's empire? Quicksand. Friday dusk, the mountain thrummed with salvation. 6 Harleys crested the switchbacks, chrome flaring sunset like signal flares. Ray Harlan leading. My cousin, MP vet built like a Humvee, gray at the temples from Fallujah patrols. Trailing. Luis Vargas, combat engineer, spotting code cheats from Baghdad blueprints. Nate Ellis, comms whiz, hacking encrypted nets that'd shame the NSA. Derek Hale, intel analyst, tracing dirty money through receipts and shadows. Pete Ramsey, logistics guru, who'd fed battalions on MREs and miracles. Travis Kane, medic paralegal, filing docs tighter than tourniquets under fire. Leathers creaked as they dismounted, saddlebags dumping files and Faraday pouches. Neighbors twitched curtains, mistaking us for Hell's Angels. Ray clasped my shoulder. Herd civilians are rustling your herd. Time to brand him. Porch huddle under lantern glow. Hank joined with his thermos, bourbon cutting the chill. Ray poured Clay stack. Intimidation 101. Legal feints to psych breaks. Next, reputational nukes. But we've got playbook, 24/7 logs, body cams per CRS 18-8-111 evidence rules. Nate spun up a mesh net, uncrackable. Derek mapped her hits, 5 VIX, 2 years. Feds hit hardest. FHA, a disparate impact. Feds love that. VA's got task forces on housing bias. Clay schooled us till stars wheeled. RICO's 4 prongs. Conduct, enterprise, her HOA shell, pattern, 2+ predicates like mail/wire fraud, affecting commerce, land sales interstate. Embezzlement, 380K dues to her Nordstrom tab, 18 USC 1341, mail fraud. False reports to county, CRS 18-8-111, Class 1 misdemeanor if evacuation, felony if injury, restitution mandatory, costs of response. Luis-eyed boulder picks, no permits, federal building code breach, EPA wetland ties if creeks involved. Travis notarized affidavits, each a bullet. My PTSD flares from beams, Hank's flashbacks triggered by inspections. We rotated watches, VFW post 217 trucking and sandwiches, and Ginny fuel. Logistics tighter than on-bar ops. Marlene panicked Monday. Eagle doubled patrols, but Dwayne's sweat soured when Nate tagged plates with a laser scanner. Tuesday, her Hail Mary, 47 identical complaints to county desks, militia threat, arms cache. Triggered fraud alarms, Betty called. Same boilerplate, fake IPs, astroturfing, CRS 6-1-102 Consumer Protection Act violation. Sheriff Mike Alvarez rolled up Wednesday, cruiser cautious, hand near radio. Suspicious activity reports. Ray Rose slow, hands open. Family repairs, officer. Service records. Alvarez scanned Harleys, vets postures, 82nd, Marines, Fort Carson. His shoulders eased. Appreciate the ink. Between us, false reports are class 2s, 120 days min, plus fines. Who's dialing drama? Dwayne's clowns tried planting Thursday, baggy drop caught quad angle, timestamps GPS locked. Derek reviewed. Chain pristine, admissible under FRE 901. Friday zenith. Marlene stormed the drive, envelope fat as her ego. 50 grand cash. Trailer park in Pueblo Fitzhugh. Type. Slur hung toxic, FHA poison, veteran status discrimination, WLAD hook. Ray, Luis, Travis materialized, Cam's hot. Bribery under color of authority? 18 USC 666, federal, if over 5K. Her face ashened, retreat sprayed gravel. Phone snippet. Phase 3, media blitz, bury him. Her digital barrage hit. Facebook rants, extremist vet siege. Instagram zooms on toolboxes as IED kits. Ridgeview under siege trended, sock puppets amplifying. Channel 9's Dana Brooks, grizzled on cartel busts, got anon tips, armed resistance. But Dana tested. Paired actors, 1, vet with vouchers, 1 clean cut. Landlord Sims confirmed bias, VSH rejections, echoing national sweeps where AGs nailed 8 firms for voucher hate. Our interview? Ray Crisp, legal arms, elk hunt level. Here's DD 214's, permits. Dana's expose primed. HOA shell game, or vet vendetta? County flood, Thursday. Identical wines to inspectors, fire marshals, 47 in hours, verbatim lies. Betty. Organized deception, not concern, penalty stack. Fines to 25K per FHA suit. CRS 38-33.3-209.5 cure lapses. Marlene's gambit. Local news tease. Explosive, vet proof. But Clade seeded real docs. Bank trails. 380K dues to her chase. No bids. Green space sale. 45% Woodland to Kensington for 400K. Market 2.3 mil. Wire fraud predicate. HOA filings. Botched. Articles lapsed. Elections invalid per CRS 38-33.3-102. Fraudulent from birth. Saturday's rec center showdown overflowed. Chairs gone. Standing room a powder keg. Air thick with coffee and fury. Dana's crew lit the stage. FBI's Sarah Hale lurked back. Notebook humming. Marlene swept in with her Denver Shark. 5 grand Armani, sweating bullets. Addressing disruptions, she trilled, voice cracking. Clay surged, folder thumping podium like gavel. Per CRS 38-33.3-123, your HOA's a ghost. Incorporation void. Rules unenforceable. Fines. Null. Projector blazed. Audits screaming embezzlement. Emails plotting problem purges. Gasps swelled to roar. Residents spotting their dues in her Escalade lease. Ray took mic. Harassment campaign. Vets per FHA military add-on. Elderly age bias. 5 families coerced. Predicates. Mail fraud. Extortion. RICO 18 USC 1962 C. Alvarez cuffed her mid-stammer. Fraud. Embezzlement. False reports CRS 18-8-111. Class 1s with restitution. Civil rights under color. 18 USC 242. Up to 10 years. Marlene wailed. Conspiracy. As deputies hauled her past glare sheet sewn. I rose last. Walt's deed trembling slight. 4 generations bled for freedoms you peddled for profit. This cabin. Built on GI grit. Grandfathered eternal. Vets saluted. Ovation thundered. Tears carving canyons in weathered cheeks. Feds piled on. RICO indictment. Conspiracy. Discrimination. 15 years potential. Marlene drew 4. Fraud. Rights breaches. Reports netting 120 days concurrent plus 50K restitution. Hubby's firm folded. Assets liquidated for victim funds. We scrapped the Husk HOA. Birthed a true one. Transparent votes. 30-day cures per 2025 amendments. Clauses shielding legacies. Harlan Ridge Outfitters boomed. Ray Logistics, Louise Courses, 12 jobs, vet scholarships from settlements. 500 acres locked forest service. Pristine, like Walt dreamed. Memorial Days? Freedom ride swells. Bikes roaring, smoke curling, tails traded under vast sky. Cabin endures, flag whipping, mug steaming at dawn. Marlene Chanel? Faded. Mountains pine pure, just as crisp. What say you? Met a clipboard crusader stealing what's yours? Fought or folded? Spill in comments. Where's the line twixt rules and robbery, order and outrage? Your stand matters, the Ridge echoes.